Good morning, everybody. Afternoon. Today is week number
4.
4. That's it. I knew that. Thank you, Kiara, for waking me up. So today, I want to kind of highlight what all we've talked about so far. Week number 1, we talked about how to get leads, the number one problem people have in our sub-owner world. Week number 2, we talked about what kind of results you got from those leads. Last week, I have no idea what we talked about. No, I do remember. We did a little role playing where Stephanie butchered JR on role playing. Way to go, Stephanie. And today, we're going to talk about what questions to ask the for sale by owner when he gives you the dumb questions, the dumb responses. So we're going to start with Greg Thomas, who has been silent.
Yes, sir.
And Greg, I'm going to pick on you today.
Go for it.
I hope you have plenty of sleep, because today is your day. So Greg, what do you think the number one answer is, or number one objection people give when a realtor calls them?
The number one objection they give or get?
Give to you.
I'm not paying a realtor fees.
Hey,
Kiara, close it. I shut
Yes.
down there. And Greg, what question would you ask when you hear that objection?
So if I brought you a buyer and paid your price, would you be willing to pay a fee for that?
Okay. So the objection is, I'm not willing to pay a realtor's commission. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Stephanie, what question would you give that person that's different than what Greg just said?
And I'm the FSBO, right?
What?
And I'm the FSBO in this situation?
If the FSBO says, I'm not willing to pay a realtor's commission, what question would you directly give that person?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Kiara, I'm not willing to pay any realtor's commissions.
if I could bring you a buyer that will net you what you need, would you pay my commission?
What's your commission?
3%.
Robin Young, I'm not willing to pay any realtor's commission.
And how's that been working for you?
Oh my God. I'm gonna skip that answer. No, I agree, but not for that one, not for that objection. I think that's a great response to use to people. Holly Neely, I'm not willing to pay a realtor's commission.
Well, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to pay a commission, because of course you want to get as much money in your pocket as you can. But what if there would be a way to sell your house and actually have the commission paid through that, and the buyers actually end up paying it because they're paying for the price of the house? So why don't we see if we can get you what you want, and I can help you get there. Would you like that?
Okay, now did y'all hear Holly's response? Holly, we're gonna pick on you now.
Okay.
It's time. You know, I've gone easy on you. It's time. Robin, what? Robin, what did you like about her response?
Well, she was solving problems.
Why is that?
She's going to get the money from the buyer, so they're not going to have to come up with anything themselves, and she's going to help them do it.
Okay. Kiara, what did you like about her response?
About the same thing.
Do you think it was too long?
It was a little too long, yes, but she got around to it
Okay, understanding the
without too
personality
many
type.
breaths.
What?
Without too many breaths. You know, when you take a stop to take a breath, it's almost like a pause, and then they'll, you know, the other people can jump in at that pause.
But
So she
since,
didn't pause too much.
but Kiara, since me and you have a similar personality, which is a
Yeah.
very get to the point, tell me what you got to say, let's move on with our lives. Do you think her response was too long?
Yes.
Question. So Holly, if you had to rephrase that question and make it shorter, because remember, let's just imagine that the for sale by owner, their attention span is that of a second grader.
Okay.
That's what you got to think of.
Yeah.
Usually pretty smart, but remember, because of their personality, they're a type A, which means get to the point, just tell me what you need to tell me because I got things to do. So if you could shorten down your answer with a question, what would you say?
If I was to shorten my question down to a question, I would say to them, I understand how you feel. I have a way that I can help you get your house sold and get a buyer into it without you reflecting that that commission. Would that work for you if I could bring you a buyer without you affecting the amount of money that you're making?
JR, can you hear us? Yo, JR? Okay, JR is in a meeting, I think. Tama,
Absentee.
what did you like about that upgraded version of her question?
It was not an upgraded version. It was just as long as the first one.
So it was the same version.
Yeah, just worded a different way.
Okay. Holly, how do you feel about what Thomas said?
I think it was shorter. I am long-winded, so obviously that's the part I've got to work on.
You got to shorten that thing down big time.
Yeah.
And please understand, I'm not trying to pick on you.
Oh, you're not. No, I'm here to learn. Trust
Okay.
me, I'm teachable.
What I'm trying to get you to understand is that these for sale by owners, first of all, they've got their guard up. They've got this big wall between you and them, and they feel like you're trying to take all their money.
Yeah.
That's how they feel. What they don't understand is that we can basically get them more money because we're paid based on what they sell it on. And I tell them that. I tell them, you do understand that my commission is based on the sales price. The more we sell it for, the more you make and the more I make.
Yeah, and that's like that. I guess that's what I was trying to get across. So I just need to work on how to phrase that so
Make
that
it
it's
shorter.
quick. Yeah.
Get to
Yeah.
the point.
Yes.
Okay. Next objection, Stephanie Burnett. What is another objection you think you would hear by for sale by owner?
If I ever do decide to list, I've got a friend or a family member that's an agent that I would probably list with them.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What question would you ask if you heard that objection?
Wait, are you talking to me? I didn't hear what you said.
I'm asking Kiara what question she would ask you.
You know, I know what I'm supposed to, but I can't get the words out.
All right, well, think about it.
Do you trust
Put you on
your
pause.
friend, family member to?
I'm going to put you on pause for just a minute. Tama, if somebody said what Stephanie said, what question would you ask her?
I would ask them, okay, I understand. If for some reason that person were not available or can't be available, would you consider me as your second choice?
If they weren't available, would you consider me as a second choice? Stephanie, how far in to the calls, do you think a for sale by owner would tell you, how many calls do you think you'd have to make before they would tell you that if I use a realtor, I'm going to go with my friend, brother, cousin, sister, brother-in-law, stupid person, whatever?
I would think probably a few calls in, because maybe on the first few they'd be adamant about not listing with an agent at all, and then maybe they would get tired of the phone calls and just throw that out there to get you to stop calling them.
Do you think that's a real objection?
I mean, I haven't heard it from a FSBO, but I've heard it before from people.
But you never heard it from a FSBO.
No.
Do you think a FSBO would say that just to blow you off?
I have.
I think some people would say anything to blow you off.
I agree with that big time. JR, can you hear us now? JR? Okay, JR is in listen only mode. Okay, next objection. Holly, tell me an objection you think you would hear from a for sale by owner.
You are like the 15th real estate agent to call me, and you all say the same thing. What do you think makes you different than them?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Greg Thomas,
Yes.
did you hear what that for sale by owner just said to you?
No, I have wax in my ear.
Oh my God, you're trying to wean out. Don't be a weenie. You're the 15th realtor to call. What makes you so different?
Yeah, what makes me different is I'm a full-time professional realtor. I don't know, a lot of realtors in our area dabble in it part-time, and everybody seems to know a realtor, but not many of those realtors sell too many homes.
Did everyone fall asleep on Greg's response?
Yes.
Do you know why we fell asleep, Greg?
Why?
You didn't ask a question.
Yep.
You just lost the game. Remember, your response, if you want to take control of this, has got to be a question.
Okay.
You've got to respond with a question, because now what you've done is you've put yourself almost into an argument with Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Holly?
Yep.
How did you feel when you heard that response?
I just felt like he was just like all the other realtors that just called me.
First, we got to teach you how to say the word, Holly. It's realtor.
Yeah.
R-E-A-L-T-O-R. There's no A between the L
I
and
know.
the T. Realtor. Say it with me. Here we go. Realtor.
Realtor.
There you go. Okay, perfect. All right. All right, Tama.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there she is. Unbelievable. Tommy, you're just like all the other realtors. I've had 15 realtors call me, and you all tell me the same thing.
Well, what have the other realtors told you?
Ooh, good question.
The other realtors have been
Well, the
telling
what?
the other realtors have told me that they can sell my home and want to need to pay them a commission to do that. Is that what you're going to do?
Tama?
What would you want me to do?
I would like to know how you are different than the other agents. How are you different than them?
And if I could show you how I was different, would you be willing to have a conversation?
At this point in time, I'm just really burned out with all these real estate agents calling me. And you could be a great lady, but quite frankly, I don't have any idea if you're any different than anybody else. So I'm just not sure if I should take the time to talk to you. But if I did decide I wanted to talk to you, are you here local in the Kansas City area?
Do you prefer an agent that's local?
I do prefer to have somebody that's local here that I can talk with. Are you local?
I am local. So will that put you at ease?
I would love to meet with somebody who is a local agent. Are you familiar with my neighborhood?
I am familiar with your neighborhood. Are you familiar with your neighborhood?
I hope I'm familiar with my neighborhood. I live here. So my next question would be to you is, how many homes have you sold in my neighborhood?
Whoa, stop right there. Now let me tell you what has happened.
I'm controlling the conversation.
Holly is beating you up, Tama.
She is. She has whooped my honey.
Whooped your butt, man. You had her, and then she took it right back away from you when she figured out that you were answering her statements with a question. She took it right back around and did this. Gee, gee, gee.
Oh, I know it. I need to go to the ER. Okay, so help me, Robert. What should I have said or asked?
Well, instead of me giving the direction, the only way from y'all to learn is you tell me what you would have done different. Stephanie, what would you have done different if Holly would have turned that around on you, where Tama had the conversation and Holly slapped her around and took it right back away from her?
I would have asked for her email so I could send her the paperwork.
Right off the bat?
Well, I guess I would have asked for her email just so maybe I guess I would have done what you've done in previous calls and asked for a seller's disclosure. No?
We got that. We got on the first call.
Okay, so we're past that. I don't know. That one kind of messed with my head a little bit.
I liked where Tama was going with asking you questions about being, Tama, I thought you were doing great until she turned around and slapped you in the face.
Yeah, until she beat me up, yeah.
Sorry.
So I liked where Tama was going with all the questions, because she took control of you. Where she lost it is when you asked her, are you local, twice?
Yeah.
And so it might be time for you, Tama, at that time, is to turn it around and ask her a question that's off topic. In other words, say, I am local. Let me ask you a question. How many houses have you sold by yourself? So you got to turn it around on her and go a different direction, because she's going to go down that path. What you've got to do is you've got to remove her from thinking that she's taking control and ask a different question.
Okay.
How many houses have you sold on your own?
I've sold one house on my home before.
How long ago was that?
It was in 1995.
Oh my God, who was president in 1995? I don't remember. Do you remember?
I don't remember who was president in 95, but I'm sure somebody on here can Google it.
Well, wait a minute, hold on, let's back up. So if you don't remember who the president was in 1995, how in the world are you going to remember the process of what goes on?
Well, I may have only sold one house for sale by owner, but I started buying homes at 22. I'm 51 now, and I've flipped, sold, rented over 19 properties in that time frame.
Oh, that's awesome. So let me ask you a question, Holly. I've been doing this for 19 years. I've sold over 1,000 houses. Who's got more experience, me or you?
Yes, you do.
So if I have more experience, do you think I'm better able to negotiate, handle situations that'll come up that you've never dealt with before?
I do believe that having assistance in a category or an area, such as an attorney or an accountant or whatever, is definitely helpful when they have the insight onto how to do a job.
Let me ask you another question. What are you going to do if you deal with an encumbrance?
If I deal with an encumbrance, oh gosh.
You know what an encumbrance is?
I'm going to say that I don't, so that this works. No, I don't know what to do with an encumbrance.
Do you want me to spell out about 10 or 15 different situations that can come up like an encumbrance that'll keep you from closing on time?
Sure.
Do you think it'd be beneficial to have somebody who's dealt with this before? Or would you just want to wing it yourself?
I don't want to wing it. It's my money. It's my real estate. I mean,
So what's the real reason you don't want to use a realtor? Well, I mean, there's a real reason. Is it money, or is it that you don't like realtors?
I like realtors. I've considered being a realtor myself, but I guess I just haven't found a realtor that I like really felt like I connected with, that wasn't just like walking through the house, like it was just another house, and we don't connect. So after seeing and talking to so many people, I was like, well, if I don't like any of them, then why am I going to pay them commission?
Let me tell you something I noticed about Holly. The way Holly is coming across, she's your typical for sub owner. I call it an EOE, expert on everything. And that's what you're going to be dealing with, the expert on everything.
So I'm doing a good job being a.
Oh, you're doing a really good job. I mean, you're being a typical for sub owner. You really are. So the question now, Robin Young, do we end this conversation now and move on to somebody else? Or do we try to have a battle of wit in the minds and see who can last who longer? We can't hear you.
You can't hear Robin.
We still can't hear you. We see you moving your lips, but we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Robin.
Okay.
There you are. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
At this point, I would say that you might hang up, because you've to me, it seems like the thing that's making you different from all the other realtors is you're going to call back again next week. You're just going to keep calling.
Greg Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Personality type of Holly as a for sale by owner. Where do you see this conversation going with her objection of not trusting realtors? Because that's really the bottom line. She don't trust realtors. She thinks we all do the same thing. A realtor. I'm sorry, a realtor. She thinks that all
Realtor.
Realtors. She thinks that we all do the same.
Sure. So she's probably going to take up a lot of your time, but she's probably, out of most of the FSBOs, she's probably the one that's going to sign first. So you might want to make that investment and just keep peeling the onion back and asking questions.
Oh,
Just like you mentioned earlier, Robert, she seems to be like an expert on everything. You called it the EOE. And so she probably thinks she knows a lot about everything, but she probably would be the first one to sign up with you.
I agree with that. I agree. Just with the example that I gave you about the encumbrance.
Yep.
99.9% of the times, if you ask a for sale by owner, what are they going to do if they have a problem with an encumbrance? You know what they're going to say? What is that? What's that? I mean, you can kind of gauge where a seller is at by the very first call. Do you have a seller's disclosure? If they ask you, what is that? That's your first clue. They've never sold a house before. And now you can kind of gauge that you're probably looking at about 5 or 6 calls before you convert them. If they have a seller's disclosure and they know exactly what it is and they say, oh yeah, I've got one, I can send it to you, get ready. It's going to be a while.
But
So
if they don't have one, is where you're saying there's going to be more of an advantage there.
If they don't know what one is, that's your advantage because they're totally clueless. There's so many things that you can get from that first phone call to kind of gauge where you're going to go. And see, here's the way I feel about it. If I have a for sale by owner that tells me that they're going to pay the 3% buyer's agent commission, I am halfway there.
Yeah.
It's a win for me. I feel like if they've already decided they're going to pay 3, I don't need to talk them into 6. All I need to do is get another 3. They've already decided they're going to pay 3.
Yeah.
So now I've got to show them how if they'll pay that additional 3 or 4, that it's going to benefit them. That's why the questions are so important, because you're going to paint them into a corner.
So a couple of for sale by owners that I've actually ended up listing the homes and selling for them this year were where it was a for sale by owner, and I called the for sale by owner on the phone and said that I believe I may have somebody who is interested in taking a look at your home, and I want to know if I could meet you at your house and get a permission to show with commission signed by you before I bring them in. And so as I did that, he met me at the house. I got it filled out. I took a few pictures of the inside of the house, and then I consulted some of my investors because it was a house that would be a flip. And he said, after our conversation, he said, I want to give this till the end of this month, and if it hasn't sold, I would like you to list the home for me. That has happened to me twice this year, just by saying, can I get a permission to show with commission the 3%?
Well, I think that's a good way to do it. I think there's, I'm not saying that my way is the only way, because it's clearly not. There's other ways to do this.
Yeah, but a combination of all this stuff is,
Right. So
what doesn't work today might work tomorrow.
We're going to talk about different ways to go after this. I hired a guy to be a listing agent for me for the Dallas area. What we did is we separated the 4 major counties. I took Tarrant County and Denton County. He took Dallas County and Collin County, because there's 4 major counties. So he was not the personality type that he liked to make phone calls. He wanted to go see these people. And this was the kind of guy who he felt like, if you're going to do real estate, deck out, suit, tie, cufflinks, the whole deal. I mean, he dressed up. And what he would do is he would take a clipboard. And on the clipboard, hold on, I got to do an illustration. On the clipboard, he would walk around looking at the house, and he would make notes. So what he did is he had this form filled out. He put condition of bathroom, and he had numbers 1 to 10, and he would always make the numbers low, and he would circle. He would do a circle. So he had every room listed. And then at the end, he would ask the seller, do you mind if I use your bathroom? And they say, well, sure, yeah, you can go. And he would take the clipboard and leave it on the kitchen counter on purpose.
I love it. That's
and
awesome.
Of course, the seller, because they're nosy, they look at the clipboard and say, hey, I noticed all this deal. What do all these numbers mean? And he would tell them, I would love to give you advice on your house, but since I don't represent you, I can't tell you anything. And they say, well, what are you going to do with this information? Well, this is going to be information that I'm going to give to my buyers so that they'll know what kind of condition the house is in. And then he would call them back, and then he would start calling them. And he did a lot of listings for me.
That's fair.
So personality type for him, he liked to go talk to people in person. Personality type for me, I ain't got time to talk to your ass. I'm going to call them. So what I'm saying is, if you're the kind of person that likes to go be a professional visitor, use this approach and see if you like it. Use Holly's approach. I have a buyer that I want to look at, that I want to bring. I want to preview your house to see if it's going to fit what they're looking for. That way they get to meet you. Toma, I think
But that obviously doesn't work if we're trying to do outside of our scheme, which you're talking about us working our whole state,
right.
the whole state of Kansas and the whole state of Missouri. So I need to learn to do it the way that you're doing on the phone.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you like to work just the area, like Tama wants to work just where she's at, that could be a good way for you to go meet people. Tama, your personality is so good, especially in person, that you need to take advantage of your personality. I think when they meet you, they're going to like you right off the bat. And the reason I'm
Did you say that too?
is because most of the time, Tama, you like to do these calls without us seeing you. Dude, take advantage of your looks.
Whoa. Okay, I don't want to scare anybody.
I'm serious. I'm really serious.
Okay, I hear
For
you.
those of you that want to do it the way I'm doing, and you want to just call people and never go see them, well, that's a good way to do it too. You can hit more people if you cover the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of this session today is understanding when you hear an objection, what question are you going to ask? That's what it's all about. What are you going to ask to take control of the conversation? So Kiara, you're next. Give me an objection that we haven't heard yet, and tell me an objection that we haven't talked about yet. Give me something new.
I'm not discussing anything with you. Just bring me a buyer.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Why do you always have the rude people, Kiara?
I find the winners, let me tell you.
All right, we need to pick on JR because he's not only silent, but he doesn't want to show his face. JR, can you hear us yet? Big wimp. Okay, Stephanie. Do you hear what Kiara for sub owner said?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Stephanie, hold on.
Oh, JR.
JR is back.
JR.
We're going to verbally butcher JR now. JR, did you hear what this for sub owner said?
No, go ahead.
Say it again, Kiara.
I'm not discussing anything with you on the phone. Just bring me a buyer.
Well, if you don't discuss anything with me on the phone, how am I going to ask the right questions for my buyer to find out about your property?
It's all listed on Zillow. They can see it there. If you have something for me, a buyer for me, just bring the buyer.
When's the best time to visit your property with my buyer?
September, Friday at 2.
Oh, man.
Let's stop right here. Let's stop right here. They can visit, they can go to Zillow and look at my property. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Based on that wonderful response, Greg Thomas, how are you going to handle that one? With a question. Remember, with a question.
How many buyers has Zillow brought you so far?
There's been interest.
How far has that interest gone with Zillow?
I've had several offers.
Have
They're
any
all
of those
too low,
offers
though.
turned into a closing?
Not yet, but it will.
Do you expect any to?
Yes.
Are any of those offers with pre-approved buyers?
I don't know.
Do you know what type of loan type would be best for your home?
Whoa, stop.
Whoa.
Stop. If you hear, I don't know, Greg, the question to ask, if you did know, what would it
What would it be?
What would it be?
Yep.
Call them out on those dumb responses. I don't know is not a good response. That's a cop-out response. Stephanie, take it over.
Okay, you said you weren't willing to discuss this. You wanted a buyer. Does that mean you're willing to pay a commission if I do?
Possibly. It'll depend on the offer.
Okay, have you been pre-qualifying your buyers?
What does that mean?
Oh, whoa, stop. Stephanie, listen to what she just asked you. It's time for, and now it's game on. I hope you win this game.
Probably not.
Come on, Stephanie.
Come on, do it.
What is that? Oh my God. Let me play the game. I want to know.
Go ahead.
No, Stephanie's turn.
Hold on, I forgot how to word this.
Oh,
Have you been just letting anybody come look at your house without knowing if they can even afford to buy the house or not?
No.
But you just asked me what it meant to pre-qualify them, did you not?
Yes, but I've asked people if they have talked to a mortgage person.
Have they shown you documentation to prove that they are qualified?
Some have.
You know what I would say at this point? Have you ever heard of Jeffrey Dahmer?
God!
You damn straight I would. Do you know who Jeffrey Dahmer is? Kiara, do you know who Jeffrey Dahmer is?
I sure do.
Who is he?
He was a serial killer.
So how do you know these people that are coming in with no pre-approval letter are not serial killers?
Well, how would you know?
I don't know. That's my question to you. You're not pre-approving your people. You can let anybody in. They might be coming in to see what they want to steal. You're not doing. Hold on. You're not doing any pre-approval at all. You're just letting anybody in. Do you think that's safe?
No different than what you realtors do.
What do we do?
not true.
You bring people into the house, they could be stealing.
But we're getting pre-approval letters before we show anybody. What we do, what I do, I don't know what other realtors do. Before they get in my car, they've got to have a pre-approval letter and what's called a buyer representation agreement. If they don't have either one of those, we ain't looking.
I require everybody to give me a picture of their driver's license as well.
Oh, there you go. So Stephanie, that's how you handle that situation, because you can really tap into that one right there. All right, we're going to play a little game, and y'all get to abuse me. I know y'all wanted to, because I've been abusing everybody for the last 4 weeks. So here's the game. You're going to throw out objections at me, and I'm going to respond with a question. So don't feel like just because me and Stephanie are having this ongoing deal, you can interrupt and throw in your objection right in the middle of it. And I'm going to respond to each of you as we go along. So it's not going to be me against Tama the whole time. We're going to do throw the objections out, and I'm going to hit you with the questions. Okay, are y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go first?
You realtors are all the same. You only want the listing.
Well, how do you know I want to take your listing? I haven't even seen the house. It could be a dog for all I know. Anybody else?
So if I listed my home, I'm going to list it with my friend Jan that I've known for the last 40 years.
Oh, I think that's a good idea. Do you trust her?
Yes,
How well do you know her?
I know her well. I've been knowing her for 40 years.
Well, what if she doesn't do a good job? Do you think that'll mess up y'all's relationship?
If she doesn't do a good job, yes, but she has a good reputation.
Do
She'll
you
do the
think it'd
job.
be better to go with a realtor that you have no kind of relationship with? In case you get mad at me, you can yell at me?
No.
Okay. Next question. Next person.
So are you done with me?
I'm done. Because here's the deal. If you got somebody that you've been friends with for 40 years, I'm not even going to go down that road.
Right. Okay.
I'm moving on to the next person. There's no way I'm going to be able to beat out a 40-year relationship. That's impossible.
I have a question.
So Robert, you would go, or well, I guess this would be for Tom. You would go with your friend that you've known for 40 years, yet you have a red and white for sale by owner sign in your front yard. Tell me how that's going to help your relationship with your friend.
Well, because my friend understands that I want to try to sell it myself first, and then if it doesn't sell in the next 3 or 4 weeks, then I'll bring her on board.
So she's okay being second choice?
She is.
Greg, you ain't going to win that one.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
That's a no.
Okay, next one. Give me something else. Stephanie, what do you got for me?
Come back to me.
Oh, you weenie. Holly?
I don't have enough margin in my home to be able to pay a realtor.
So what you're telling me is that your payoff is not enough to do payoff, closing costs, and commission.
That is what I'm saying. And so I don't have a choice but to sell it myself.
Okay. What's your payoff?
My payoff is $192.
And how much are you asking?
$220.
Hold on. Let me do some math here. 220. Hold on. Calculator's not working. Hold
I
on.
can net you 198. Would you list with me?
Well, the problem is I just put $25,000 into the house.
If I could net you 198, would you list with me?
No, I would not, because I just put $25,000 into the house and I owe $192. So I am already losing.
I'm sorry, did you not just tell me that you needed to net 192? Did you tell me that earlier?
No, I told you I owed $192 on
You
the
owed
house.
192.
Okay, so if you
And
use the
the
realtor,
$25,000 that you put in, did you put that in for your enjoyment or for somebody else's enjoyment?
For somebody else's enjoyment to hopefully make the house more sellable.
How do you know
Granite
they'll like what you
countertops,
like?
bathrooms, you know, that kind of thing.
How do you know they'll like the same things you like?
Well, I've been through a lot of houses in our neighborhood and seen what kind of workmanship, and I've gotten referrals from other people. So I feel like it's redone in a tastefully way that's neutral enough for others.
hold on, Greg, let me take over for just a minute.
Sure thing.
You said your house is for 220, your payoff is 192.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize that if you pay a realtor to take care of this for you, to handle all the headaches, to cover closing costs, you're going to walk away at 204,050. Minus the 192, you're going to make a profit on this deal, even if you use a realtor. So my question, now that you know you're going to make a profit, do you think you're a better negotiator than me?
Well, I can't say that I'm a better negotiator because I haven't seen you negotiate.
Okay, but let's just assume, because I've been doing this for so long and you haven't, let's assume that I'm a better negotiator. Let's
Okay.
just assume that. Do you think that you can get a better deal because you're emotionally tied to the house than I can because I'm not emotionally tied to the house? Who do you think is going to get a better deal on the house?
Well, you probably are going to get a better deal on it, but at the 220 minus my 192, in there is actually the 25,000 that I have put in there to help compensate me back for the money I just put into the house.
Okay, I got bad news.
Yes.
25,000 that you put in, you might not be able to recoup that because you voluntarily did that for cosmetic purposes. Have you had the house appraised?
No.
Here's what I would recommend. Go spend $450 to get your house appraised and see what the value really is. Because what if it's more than 220? What if you have,
what do you think the house is worth?
Holly, hold on. And I'm going to do that for some owners. I'm going to tell them, hold on, because I'm not done talking. What if you could get 230 out of the house and you've got it underpriced? Don't you think it'd be a good idea to know that you might be underpriced?
Yes. But I have heard of people getting their houses appraised and then the house not selling for the amount it's appraised for.
Right. Okay. So what if that happens with a buyer? Then
well, I guess if that happens, I have to deal with it at that time.
So wouldn't you want to know ahead of time?
Yeah, I would like to know ahead of time.
Do you have $450?
Yes.
So when are you going to get it appraised?
Well, do you have an appraiser?
I can't give you any appraisers because I don't want to be tied to that appraisal at all. What I want you to do is you find your own appraiser. Don't even tell me who it is until after it's over. I don't even want to know.
Okay.
And then tell me what they came up with.
Okay, I can do that.
Now let's stop right here. If y'all are recommending appraisers to a for sale by owner, huge mistake.
Exactly. That's why I threw it in there.
Huge mistake. If you're going to inspections, big time, huge mistake. Let me tell you why. There's a friend of mine who was with the balloon company, went to an inspection, and was sitting there, and the buyer asked the realtor, do you think I should take care of this? He goes, if it was my house, I would. Well, he decided to go with his advice. And something happened, and the house had some major problems. Mr. Buyer sued realtor. Realtor lost because he gave his opinion based on what the inspector said. Do not go to inspections. I mean, and I tell them, I'm sorry, I'm already booked. I wish I would have known ahead of time. I can't make it. It's not a good move.
So I have several out-of-state investors that actually have me meet the inspector at the house, but that's just like to let them in and then, let them out or whatever, especially if it's like on an iBox or something like that. So I have a lot of out-of-state investors that like trust me with things like that. Like the other day, I just took a whole bunch of pictures on the inside of a house.
That's different. That's different
Yeah.
than letting somebody in.
Yeah.
Letting them in and then leaving.
But you're saying no matter what they say on all this stuff on the inspection, it's not up to you to make any kind of comment.
Are you an inspector? Are you an inspector?
No.
So you're not a licensed inspector?
No.
Okay, so if they ask your advice about an inspection, it would be like me coming to you and saying, Holly, I'm having palpitations in my heart. Do you think I should have heart surgery? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you should go see a cardiologist though.
Exactly, because you don't know shit about heart surgeries.
How do you know that?
You probably don't. Okay, let's continue on. We've got about we've got about 7 more minutes. Stephanie, it's still your turn to give me an objection.
Okay, agent so-and-so from ABC Realty that called me last week said that if I listed with him, he would do it for 2%.
Woo, that's awesome. 2% total?
2% if he, yes, I confused myself.
So the buyer's agent gets nothing?
Maybe they get 1% of that. I guess 2% on his end and 2% on the buyer's end.
Okay, so he's going to do a reduced commission, right?
Right.
Okay. What kind of business do you run? You're a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you cut your fees based on your business, is your clients going to get less service if you have to cut your fees, or are they going to get the same?
I see what you're saying.
So what's going to happen is, if this dude is only taking 2%, do you think he's going to spend more than 2% on advertising and marketing? Because if he does, he's a bad business person. Even if he only spends 1%, that's still not a good idea for you, because he's cutting his services for you. Basically, what he's going to do is he's going to put up a sign and a lot box and pray that it sells. Is that what you want?
No.
What do you want?
I want my house to sell.
For the highest price, right?
Right.
So if I could show you how you could walk away with more money by paying more commission, would you be okay with paying more commission if you could walk away with more money?
I guess.
I guess? Does that mean yes or no?
What's your plan? If I were to hire you for your commission, what is your marketing plan?
Well, first of all, before we do that, let me send you what I think the house should sell for. I'm going to email it to you. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, call me.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, Tama. Objection?
Oh, I don't have another one. I already gave mine.
You got one?
No, not another one. No.
Okay. Greg, you got an objection for me?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, I don't. Oh, okay. Well, will you do it? Well, you already answered this. You answered the reduced fee one.
I don't mean to interrupt. I heard another great answer somewhere to that same objection that I just gave, and I thought maybe I would just share that too.
Hit us with it.
It's the agent talking to the FSBO here. Well, if this realtor was willing to negotiate his commission so easily, something that's taking money out of his own pocket, how do you think he's going to handle the negotiations with your house, something he has no ties to?
I love that one, and I've used that before. I think that's a great response.
Yeah.
If y'all missed that, be sure and write that down on the video that I'm going to send to you. I think that's a great response.
I thought that one I think would work on me if I was a FSBO.
Oh, of course. Any other objections that you want to throw out?
Here we go. We're just testing the market.
Testing the market. What does that mean, testing the market?
No, I'm not in a hurry to move.
All right, nobody is. Nobody wants to move. So when you say test the market, how are you going to test it?
See if there's any interest in my home.
So what if there is?
Then I'll move. If it's the right price.
What is the right price?
What I have it listed for.
And how did you determine the price?
Well, my payoff plus the work I've put in it plus don't make me laugh.
Who are you talking to, man?
Plus a little bit of I need to have at least 15%, 20% profit.
So you have no idea what the market will allow based on the size of your house and the age. You're just going on what you paid
No.
for it yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting way of doing it.
Well,
I've never
and
heard that
plus
one
I
before.
looked at the sales in my neighborhood,
You're
and
gonna
I
look
think
at
my home is
sales?
comparable.
You're gonna look at sales in the neighborhood? How are you gonna have access to
But,
that?
well, it's public record. Every Sunday, my newspaper lists what's been sold.
They do?
And I know which houses in my
In my
neighborhood.
state, it's a non-disclosure state. You can't disclose what the sold price is.
Oh, we do here.
You disclose the sold.
Sales price is always, yes, it's in the tax records.
Have
here.
you had your house appraised?
No,
So you really have no idea what it's going to sell for or what it's worth.
no,
Do you think that would be a good way to find out?
possibly.
So if that was possible, are you going to do it?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, I'll get my buyers, let them know what you said, and we'll move on. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, did we touch on the most common objections that you hear?
Oh, yes. Most of the objections that y'all said is what I hear most of the time. And see, here's the deal. 19 years I've been doing this. Holly, how long have you been doing this?
As a realtor, I
Yeah.
have only been in business since 2014, but as an investor since 1990.
So for sell by owners, you've heard this for 5 years. What about you, Kiara? How long have you heard the same objections?
8 years.
So see, what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, the objections typically don't change that much. They're about the same. The only thing that's going to change is stuff like Zillow and Zestimate and stupid technology that's coming out that's making people more educated. You better be up to date on what's going on in the market with Zillow and Zestimates and all that other stuff. They will catch you. These people, some of these people are highly educated, but don't be afraid of them because most of them never sold a house on their own. So next week, what I'm going to show you, you don't want to miss next week. You don't even want to miss it and wait for the recording, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you what we're going to talk about next week. I'm going to show you how to list it for sale by owner and put the listing on multiple MLSs all over the world.
On what? We missed that part.
Multiple, several MLSs all over the world.
Wow.
Using your current license that you have right now.
Dang.
For example, I've got a listing in Sedona, Arizona. I am licensed in Texas. Huh?
How does that work?
Oh, I guess we'll talk about that next week. So the advantage
Yes, you guys.
going after for sale by owners is that you're going to go to them and say, hey, I'm not like your average realtor that just sticks up a sign and prays that it sells. This is a list of my listings that I have all over the world. Do you think there's other realtors in Sedona, Arizona? They're going to say yes. Why would they pick me to put their house and market their house to sell it? Do you think it's because I suck as a realtor? And that's exact terminology what I tell them. Do you think it's because I suck as a realtor? I know that's kind of harsh. They can handle it. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. That is our last class. So don't miss it. Holly Neely, if you miss it, verbal abuse for you.
For me, okay. No, I won't. Actually, I told several people in my, in my circle about this class, and I've been like asking them questions every time they say something, and they're looking at me going, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, well, so now they're all curious about your class. So you may have some new students soon.
Woohoo! Sweet. Okay. Again, this is my cell phone. It works, but it only works if you call me. So don't be afraid to call me and ask me questions. I don't mind if you call me. Okay, y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. I'll send the video out of today by the end of, hopefully by the end of today. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Talk to you later. And Holly, learn how to say realtor.
Realtor.
Realtor. Thank you. Bye-bye now.